dripping with irony.
Sure. And so irony is the realization that what seems, a la the dream, is not what is, but that by virtue of waking up inside of it, I can actually use what is less real, what is not strictly speaking true or final, as a way of, ironically, developing a relationship with what is.
Right, dripping with irony.
Sure.
Dripping with irony.
Sure.
Dripping with irony.
Sure.
Dripping with irony.
Sure. And so irony is the realization that what seems is not what is,
Drip.
the dream. What seems the dream, is not what is.
You give up propositional truth in order to be true to the through line and what we've been talking. Drip. The current notion that irony is a kind of cynical, a kind of cynicism, and it's that the only form of dripping with irony is sarcasm, and that of course is to make a category mistake. How do we distinguish irony from people who are just sloppy in their thinking and equivocate and stay gay and not be in a self-contradictory fashion? Bullshit, sloppiness, laziness, mythology. Dripping with irony.
Sure.
He keeps stepping back and calling into question what he has just asserted, and then stepping back.
I'm infinitely resigned.
Right. And what you're doing is, I think, in Kierkegaardian language, you see him
infinitely resigned.
Toggling,
infinitely resigned.
Tragedy of the reflective escape, which is he does nothing and people are dying and going insane around him. The first one is, why is irony not just cynicism and sarcasm?
So for one thing, irony is not a temperament.
No.
Irony is not an attitude. Irony is not a behavior. Irony is a relationship with reality. Okay, let's maybe start there. Let's think of it in properly Platonic terms. Irony presupposes that there is a discrepancy between appearance and reality, which also means that it presupposes that there is in fact a reality that grounds appearance and that is concealed behind it. The difference between the liar and the bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? Let's think about that for a second, right? The liar has a relationship with the truth.
Dripping.
They have to in order to subvert it, but they subvert it very knowingly. That's why I think there is such a thing as a virtuous lie, right? And irony sometimes takes the form of a virtuous lie. I might say something that is, in its bare facticity, untrue, but I might be saying it actually in a deeper faithfulness to the truth.
Right.
If my idea of the truth is much more participatory and perspectival. That's a very, very, very superficial definition of what is true, right? Right, like a koan.
Or something that's self-undermining, or Jesus' parables, which strike us like stories, right? So they're also ironic in that sense.
They are, and that's why irony is contiguous with the humorous, and that's why irony evolves into the humorous, right? Because it involves the juxtaposition of two perspectives that are at quits with one another, right? And that are drawn into tension by the context and the circumstance, right? Kierkegaard has a very humorous example in the Dia Samara and either or. He's talking about, this busy man who's wandering the streets, so flushed with his affairs, so determined, so full of activity and itinerary and whatnot. And he gets run over by a carriage and he dies. Gets run over by a carriage and he dies. Gets run over by a carriage. Die. The aphorism ends with him laughing because it's very funny, right? Because the irony of putting those perspectives into tension reveals something implicit about the absurdity that we encounter when we try and rationally make sense of the world and ourselves within it. The distinction between appearance and reality, because irony presupposes that there is such a thing. No. There is a truth, okay? And it's not relative or subjective based on my whim or will. It is prior to where I am now, to where I stand now. And I am aware that where I am is not somehow where that measure is. There's something outside of the arena, even though he stands inside of it.
Reason, think of Kant, reason needs to be autonomous, to be reason, and so reason seeks to ground itself, but reason can't be circular, and yet it doesn't seem that it can ground itself without being circular, so it needs to ground itself on something other than itself, while maintaining its autonomy. You can't say, oh well, I won't be rational, right? Because then it's like, but the aporia only works because you deeply care about rationality, right? So you're being dishonest if you throw it, but then you can't say, but I can totalize rationality and get it. So I have to have this relationship where I commit myself to it, but I also withdraw from it. I shine into it, I withdraw from it. But people who, because you see this in Socrates, people that sort of react to him confrontationally, they actually lack capacity for irony, and they get pissed off at his irony.
Or they do,
because they want cognitive closure and completion.
Irony is the denial of that.
Yes.
It is the denial of the fact that this, where we stand, is complete.